discussion, but it's gotta go around the corner and come up with a new procedure, when all you've gotta do is ask, why did I do
But
this?
this is part of the grants that we're working on. We had to update all these policies and procedures. I, as the mayor, I can't tell you guys everything that I do on a daily basis.
Not this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
This one ain't.
You
I
know,
mean, that's where it's highlighted throughout this whole thing of what you guys have already approved in the past versus what we had to add together.
okay, Elon Musk.
All right, I suggest that we adopt this with the modification of the 7 to 30.
It's changing it to 30 days feasible.
Well, not with, you know,
I think we, yeah,
I would lessen the time, you know, to give at least, you know, some time to get to our financial person.
You do 14 days and every receipt submitted after 14 days has to have an independent reason for it.
It's done.
That's a lot of extra work, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, just,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not 14 days?
it does seem like
Pick a
kind of
number.
draconian. If you don't get it in after 14 days, you don't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily, but I mean,
You know what, I answered your question wrong. My expenses account, I had no timeline. But I had a credit card that was issued by the company
Yep.
that I had to pay for.
yeah,
And if I didn't get reimbursed by the time my credit card statement come in,
yeah.
yeah.
I had to pay out of my own pocket.
Too
or
bad, so
eat the
sad,
interest.
that's right.
So that's kind of, you know. it's
We had
kinda-
15 days at my corporate job.
If it doesn't mess up our accounting,
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
right.
Right.
I mean, what if we add a clause that says something to the effect of, at the completion of the event, receipts will be turned in within 15 days, or something along those lines, Jeff?
That's fine.
Would that be?
It's always been by the next council meeting. I
Which
mean,
is about 15 days.
yeah, it's
anyway.
fine. I'm good with
Why
that.
don't we do that? Why don't we add a little clause
If
to
you'll
this?
put on there the following council meeting or 14 days,
Following council meeting might be this much.
that's what I'm saying, or
Might
the
be
14
right
days.
next.
Whichever's
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, and if
Might
I
be 2
need it, I'm
days
gonna
after.
ask for more time.
There
Yeah.
you go. That way we're all covered.
So for the last year and a
Oh,
half, it's
actually,
always
why
been
don't
by
you say
that.
that? 14 days or written exception prior to. Yeah.
It's just that we have to update these policies for the grants. And that's
All
the
right,
only
so
reason we're
who's
doing this.
making that modification?
Sabrina will make the modification.
Do you know what that modification is? Well, I
Okay.
mean,
To be
let's tell her
reimbursed,
what it
basically.
is so we can make it and vote on it, get this thing done with.
15 days after an event, it must be submitted, is that what we're saying?
Correct. And if more time is
Without-
You
needed,
have to
then
ask
he
for
will
it.
basically, or any of us, not just picking on Jeff, anybody
I've
who
got it.
needs an extension.
I'm good
will
with
ask
that.
for an
So
extension.
is it 15 days unless?
An extension has been granted. Yes.
But is it 15 days after the event or 15 days? No, it has nothing.
After the expenditure.
Okay.
After the
That's it, that's
expenditure.
right, that's
That's
right.
it.
After the expenditure, not the event.
Okay.
Expenditure.
Expenditure, not the event. Did you just
No,
hear what they
no,
said?
No,
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm just
That's what we
pointing out what they
said.
just
That's what they
said.
just said. I was like, wait
You
a
were
minute.
happy and then you went, whoa.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
thank you.
what if I spend money, but I'm not having an event? So can we call it an expenditure? Because this is covering all of us. It's not, community development. It's covering all of us.
Yeah, if it's an event, there needs to be a caveat in there, I think.
Why don't you just say 15 days after the expenditure or event?
Or event.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way, the event
Everybody's
kind of
covered.
gets lumped in there.
Any more discussion?
Yes,
Do y'all know what we're doing?
Sabrina does.
As far as
Okay.
I know, it's 15 days after expenditure or event.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Or
that's-
event.
that's-
Yes.
Or
yes,
event.
Or event.
yeah, we've been recording for 4 minutes.
and we're voting on that as amended.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carried.
Red Cross.
Red Cross.
No,
So we're at the Red
Uh,
Cross.
yeah.
I'm gonna second that motion because he's fixing to make it.
I
right,
make the
I'm
motion, we declare Red Cross
I
member.
gotta read it first. Consideration, discussion, and approval for proclaiming March 2025 Red Cross Month. Can I have
Yes,
a
I
motion?
love it.
Jim made the motion, I seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion passes. Yep.
Red Cross.
7F, consideration, discussion, and approval for the resolution for the easement that runs east and west on residential property. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion that.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, we're trying to keep records over here, you're going too fast.
I'm just reading the paper. And a second.
I second.
Any discussion?
Okay, we don't know.
We don't even know where
We on G?
I
F.
don't know where
No,
we're
we're
at.
on
No, F,
F.
I'm sorry.
On F, that's the easement,
That's the easements for the people on Sweet
Well,
Valley.
who first and who seconded and all that?
I second, Jeff.
Jeff first.
Made the motion. Okay,
Any discussion?
so this right here is, we're granting the removal of this easement, but our part of the easement, the city's
Easement.
part of the easement, okay, that this guy has on his property. He has a easement through his property. We're, DD6 released theirs, we're gonna release ours if he signs the agreement to give DD6 the easement to clean that ditch out. If he doesn't, then this is not what we're voting on right now. We're not giving him, we're not giving that up.
That's not how it works, bud.
Well, we need to do it.
No,
This is a bit of a, hopefully.
This is like a carrot.
I mean, this is a bit of a Mexican standoff on who makes voting in. This is a useless easement for us. When it was originally drawn in 1950, the surveyor made a mistake. Instead of putting it along the ditch, put it in the middle of the property. It's
Oh,
just-
no.
It's just sitting there. And it exists. And it's clouded their title. They've owned it since then. There's no utility in keeping it.
I understand that.
So by waiving it, it doesn't need to be dependent
Okay,
on the other stuff because we don't need it. And by approving it, we make it almost virtually certain that they will. But it's like, who does what first? I would recommend, because it's a useless easement to us,
Yeah.
that we just approve it.
But we can't take it away once we've approved it.
But why would we want to
Well,
take it
I mean,
away?
yeah.
Well, I mean,
it-
just Bud was saying we'll take it away if they don't sign the agreement with DD6.
well,
Oh,
that was
I
I
recommended
mean,
by
assets over
DD6.
liability, you remember I discussed that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an asset for us, I mean.
That was a recommended by DD6 because, okay, here's the reason is this has gone on for what, a year and a half about this easement with this ditch, okay?
Started with
And,
Barbara.
okay, we'll do it, okay, we won't do it, and then DD6 has done everything that they can do for that guy, you know, as far as putting a fence in, as far as gates,
Agreeing.
huh?
Agreeing.
Yes, they're agreeing to do whatever, you know, I mean, everything that they can do. And then they said that the only meat that's left, the only bone at the end of this whole deal is that we're giving, the city's giving them something, you know? But we really do need that easement for DD6 to be able to clean that ditch out. You know, it's a bottleneck for us,
Right.
okay? And we can go by what Drew said. I'm all for going by what Drew said. And we're gonna be the people that stand up and say, hey, we gave you that. But now, come on now, help us out. Now, you said you would. Now there's two parties here that we're dealing with, Drew, not just one. There's two people involved in this, and the one signed last time, and the other one signed and then revoked her sign, okay? So then we couldn't do anything about cleaning the ditch out. Now, should we give them this, okay, which makes their land more valuable because now they don't have that easement through the middle of it, splitting it up, okay? It makes their land a lot more valuable as far as selling it. They can split it up however they want. And they can build on top of that easement where they can't right now. Now, by making it more appealing to them that we're doing this, we need y'all to sign this thing so we can clean this ditch out.
Can I ask two questions?
Yes.
Are they on the Loma list?
There's no house there.
There's no house there at all?
No,
Okay,
it's just vacant property.
They've
And-
never been able to build on it.
okay, and the other question is, the easement if they were to build something right there, would it prevent DD6 from getting where they need to go?
It would prevent them from ever building because of these.
This prevents them from building
I know,
on that
no,
easement.
if we give them back the easement.
No,
would
they
it
can do what they
prevent-
want to with their easement.
Okay, somebody,
Go
let me
ahead.
finish my question. We give up the city's easement and
Mhm.
give them their property back, they build something, does it block DD6 even if
No,
they signed
no,
over?
no,
Okay,
no, no, no.
just the part of the property. Just
It's
asking.
right in the middle of the property.
Okay.
It's way away from what we're trying to do. We're just trying to go down the edge
Okay.
of that
Just
ditch.
trying to stronghold.
We're not giving up anything about it.
Exactly.
No, we're not.
Well, no, we got a
It's-
lot to gain by cleaning that ditch, and
There's
that's,
no reason not to.
I know what you're saying, Drew, as long as they sign that thing, we're,
But
There's
you
no-
can't
there's no-
hold something hostage either, so if it's
okay,
an
then let's
error,
approve
I
it.
think
Let's
it needs
approve
to
it
be-
and let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
and you kinda can, really, you kinda can hold it for hostage.
I can.
Not
I
leg-
definitely
Not
can.
legally, but, you know.
We can say, we can put a clause in
I mean,
there
we
that
can
says,
act,
There's also
on
Right.
signing of this will be
at the
released.
same
And
token, I
that's what
think we
was
need to act
advised
on
do.
good faith. I mean,
Yes,
I
at the
was
end of
just-
the day, at the end of the day, it's our duty to act on good faith.
if I have to, I'll give DD6.
I mean,
Well, we
it's not
did
a, it's,
before
I
and it
don't,
didn't work out very
can't.
well on it. We acted on good faith before and it didn't
Any
pan
more
out.
discussion?
Call the vote?
Yeah.
So
Any more
we're gonna
discussion?
just release it as it is, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm gonna just abstain from that vote. So y'all still got.
I'm an aye vote, but I'm just trying to read something when you did that.
Motion carries. All right, 7G, consideration, discussion, and approval for the revision of the mobile home ordinance, currently 241. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second. Oh,
Stephanie, second? Okay.
It don't matter.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I'm new. We're adding, where'd it go? I saw the oh, here it is. Okay, the $100 per mobile home annually,
Correct.
is that, so that's new. What's the current?
100
100 a
per
year
Mobile home location.
The
So-
park.
per park.
Okay, has that even been paid?
No, not in 7 years.
It's longer than that.
So by adding this, do we expect that to get paid?
If we pass this ordinance, there's not gonna be much of a choice. Because we'll have to get other people involved. Also, too, we are losing franchise fees because the mobile home parks are required to have garbage service through the
Right.
public.
Right.
So we're losing franchise fees.
One does and one doesn't.
Right. And Mr. Fredericks does, the other one doesn't. So we're gonna hopefully recoup quite a bit of lost income.
Well, my calculations, it'll be $2,240 a year more. That's $2,000 more for the Votros space,
300
spaces for
Fredericks.
20 units, and $240 per year for one garbage can,
For
$1 per month per garbage can that we get. And we're already getting the garbage can money for Frederick's.
Fredericks.
What
And that-
about the $100 per pad? Are we getting that?
No.
Okay, so that'd be,
It was previously 100 per park.
what?
It was previously 100 per park, and it was not collected. Now it's 100 per.
Right.
How many
Per
spots
pad.
are?
They're gonna pass it on to you, they're gonna have
They
to bump it
want
up.
just like-
Yeah, well, they'll have to charge,
$12 a unit.
$12 a month.
they'll have, so
And then the
it's,
franchise fees that we collect from Republic, of course, goes into the road fund.
so it's an additional
This is-
$2,500 revenue per year.
Exactly.
One item though, what you'll
we
find
collect.
with this space that's occupied more than 60 cumulative days, what you'll find is the musical chair
What?
events happening.
Were you reading?
Where people move their mobile home for 24 hours and bring it back. and
These
then-
will
That's,
move.
for
Now,
others.
let me make sure,
Oh, the mobile homes?
let me make sure that we're not getting,
no, it's modular, it's the,
Oh, modular, okay.
yeah, it's the trailer. Yeah, it's not the, it's not.
Oh, I thought they were
You
recreational,
can do it
okay,
every other day, it doesn't matter, it's their 60 days.
Thank
You're paying it for the whole year.
right.
So when are we gonna make this due? We're
I
gonna
tried to-
start
I tried
this
to- I tried
December
to
the 31st?
anticipate every little-
Normally, it's December the 31st.
It had never been done
It's
before.
never
Why
been done
why are we
before.
waiting until December the 31st?
Well,
my
I mean,
question.
me personally, from, ethics, I mean, I would like to get this passed. Send out a copy to Mr. Fredericks, who's gonna call Drew, and then also to Martha. Exactly, and then give both of these guys a copy of it to let them know. Don't just slap them in the face and say, hey, you owe me money.
Well, it's March.
It is
Uh,
March.
what, do they have leases? They all do?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, but see, also too, part of this ordinance, it states in there, we're supposed to know who's in those parks.
Right, right.
They've never done that.
Because I was gonna say, if they had leases, I mean, is there like a grace period you can give them of some sort?
I mean, I think we can, but.
Because if
it's not
they have to bump their
With
rent
respect
up.
to enforcement, yes, we can be.
Okay.
I follow y'all's guidance on it, and don't need to enforce it rigorously, I won't, but, which happens, but.
I mean, as a business owner with Martha, for example, if she has, 10 leases and she has to raise their rent, she can't get a lease, right? So she has to pay that.
Well, that's why if we pass
Well, if you
this,
give them
they need to
December the
give her a copy as
31st,
soon as
she's,
possible.
Okay.
So she can-
depends on when they're due,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
assume that half
She's
of them
getting
come
9
due
months.
before then, so she
Oh,
ought to
okay.
be even.
Wait, where is she getting 9 months from?
From March to December 31st.
Okay.
Now,
Yes,
Fredericks,
I understand.
Fredericks is not, is he paying the $100 for
No.
now?
No, nobody.
So neither one of them are paying
Correct.
anything. So my question earlier to Sabrina was, if they hadn't paid $100
Right.
in the last 8 years, what makes us think we're gonna get them to pay $100?
Section 13 about
Or revoke their
penalties.
permit to have a mobile home park.
Yeah, we can do that,
Well, hadn't we done that already?
because it was never brought.
I mean,
to
you know,
the city
because-
Well,
attorney's
for one
attention.
reason,
You know-
it's
you
only
know,
$100.
Here's what I was explaining
It's
earlier.
a question of enforcement,
If you're gonna charge me $100 to have a beach pass down there every month or every year, and the first year I don't get it, I get a letter, and I say, I'm gonna get it, and I forget to pay it. Next year I get a letter, say, hell, they didn't do nothing. Last year I ain't doing nothing. Before long, I just start throwing them in the trash, and don't even open, or I even forget to come. If it's been 8 years, they don't.
But it's-
It's still money that's accumulated.
Right, but it's also.
I'm not
up to
saying that
us
we
to
don't need to
enforce
do
it,
this,
To make
but-
sure that the money is collected.
We just need to be ready to,
Okay, so just a little bit of history, I'll sort of explain. This is a commonly used permit structure. We had a mobile home park here that was, I don't know if you want to speak long enough. but
Where
it
the
was-
horses
the
are.
Up there on
horse-
the
It's a
corner.
horse pasture.
yeah, yeah.
And it was really bad, and we passed this, and they fought it, and then they got their crap together, and it was actually kind of clean, and then they sold it. It is what it is. So this was structured to address a particular situation, and for, there's enforcing the minutia of our ordinances is not easy. The franchise, counting, in theory, okay, here's another example. In theory, Republic should pay us for every trash can that's out there, $1 or whatever. In theory, to correctly enforce it, we should be driving every trash day to see how many trash cans are. Is that?
They pay by the meter.
What's that?
They pay by the active
Yeah, I'm
water.
trying to come up with an analogy.
Okay.
It's not a good one. But it's like the energy devoted to enforcement sometimes swallows up.
Yeah.
It's swallowed up
The
by other things. So
benefit.
that's the short answer for, the $100 permit fee was not the goal of this. It was more of an accountability that if you didn't pay it, which at the time was highly questionable whether you were able to, then we would have a means for doing something about that particular mobile home park. But, so that's long and short of it. It's the bandwidth for enforcing a lot of these. And now that it's highlighted, I think we should have just like with the gaming machines, now we have every January, if it is not paid, I go pay a visit, we get whatever, $10,000.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
the
they're gonna make
I
a
knew it, I
business
knew it.
decision.
You're the
just-
I
collector.
know, I just go, I was like, here's my card.
He's a tax man.
Yeah, and, that may be all it takes, but,
That's
and
what I asked.
if I was down there, it'd be a business decision for me. Okay, can I recover what I'm gonna have to pay?
Well,
you?
if I know they're intentionally not doing it, that's a whole.
But then again, if I see this stuff and I'm saying, ooh, man, I ain't doing that, and I don't have fences here, and
Well,
I'm
let's
thinking,
cross that
let me
bridge when
just
it
go
comes
ahead
to
and
it.
pay this
Now
and get
that
that.
we're focused on it, it's a different story. we were only losing $200 a year.
Yeah.
Only. I'm not making light of it, I'm just saying.
Well, you're right.
It wasn't on the scale of
right.
importance. It would literally cost me more
That's right.
to go address
Yeah,
it
right,
than it would be to recover it. So, but now we have the leverage of, we have paid 800, and you might have to pay a little bit, you may have to make up a little bit for it on December 31st, but you've gotten off for 8 years not paying it. Have you paid it? Can you prove it? Anyway, I'll make it work, but
We're not gonna go try to collect the stuff in arrears, are we?
not the in arrears,
No.
but I'll use it as an
Leverage,
explanation of,
yeah.
an explanation of you've gotten a bit of a credit, so let's go ahead and get with it, and this is the future.
Possible doing business.
The transfer of license fee, I know it's not new here, but it's $50.
If-
Does it say
If Martha sells the property,
only $50?
yeah, that's a nominal amount, because hopefully by that time, because in the first time sell.
Now,
Oh,
let me caution you, don't get caught up in this stuff that's already in there.
Yeah.
No,
We'll be
I
here
was.
forever.
Well, but hopefully-
Only the yellow things are changes, the other stuff has been there.
Well, I'm just making sure there's no conflict, like if we're doing $100 per unit annually and then there's a transfer fee, does that mean if a new person moves into the unit, do they have to pay this transfer fee,
No,
or
no,
is
this-
it
if there's a new
okay.
owner,
a new owner of the property?
correct.
Okay,
And hopefully by then, the new owner's gonna agree to do all of the improvements according to the ordinance, because it's very bad. Last year, we did have somebody who was looking at buying a property, but they decided not to, follow the improvements that the property needed.
right.
Is the way this yellow's worded, is that, am I reading this correctly? It says that it will be, fees shall be due on December the 31st of each year, all renewal fees. So if they're just starting out, then will that be the next December the 31st? Because they're not doing a renewal, they're doing a start, they're starting on December the 31st.
You have to renew the license every year.
Okay, so they're doing 100, and now it's
To
changed.
renew for the next year.
I got you.
So
Okay.
it's only got
Are you ready? It's
19,
gonna be $100 at the end of the next.
But, and they haven't
There's a
renewed.
permit to operate the park.
That's right.
You have electricity and all that.
inspections.
Then there's a license. You separate it because,
Yeah.
there's a difference between the business and units. And so, the renewal for the license to put each unit in there is due on,
But, okay, so if it weren't full though, let's say she gets, or someone moves in and now it's been occupied more than 60 days and it's October, and they pay $100 on the 31st of December for their initial fee, or they pay it as soon as they're 60 days in?
well, see,
Those trailers don't go in.
No, I'm saying somebody moving into it, renting it.
It has nothing to do with the tenants. It has to do
Oh,
with the
just-
physical units
So
themselves.
if they're vacant,
It doesn't matter, they still pay.
They still
$100.
pay it.
doesn't matter, oh, so
Yeah,
it's,
that's
it
for the,
literally is.
yeah, it's for the owner.
if it's vacant, if it's
still-
vacant, it never has to pay. But if,
Wait.
once you hit 60 days, you're gonna have to pay for the whole year.
Hold on. Okay, that's not,
From my understanding, the unit itself, even if it's vacant, they still have to pay that $100 permit.
no, it says occupied more than 60 days.
Occupying
By
the property or
A
occupying
home or
the-
Not
recreational
a-
vehicle.
Regardless of tenant, if a space
It's being
has a
occupied.
home or a
Yeah.
recreational.
Okay,
So it has
okay.
nothing, yes, it's not a
Yeah, on the
tenant.
lot.
Space has
If there's
something
no
on it.
mobile home, if there's no recreational vehicle, the problem is recreational vehicles.
Yes.
They go in and out,
Yes.
right? Like, so,
Mhm.
but if it's there for over 60 days, that's a resident.
Okay. Got it.
But it says manufactured home or.
Yeah.
recreation.
I'm skipping over to manufactured home because we don't have a ton of those, but, yeah.
Okay.
So once the mobile home's there, yeah, you can have $100 for it.
Whether it's occupied,
Regardless of tenant or not.
Yes.
Because
Regardless of,
it's still this
it's occupying the
long,
space.
electrified-
Is occupying the.
so if she has some she's renting and they're vacant, she's still gotta pay that.
That's
Yes.
correct. And then-
We're not gonna parse out whether it's occupied, whether there's a tenant.
Yeah, that's not
whether
our concern.
Someone's there for 30 days, or 60, no.
It's not our
Is there a
concern.
house there for 60 days?
That's it.
You used it.
Correct.
the city inspector has
I
the
just
right to
read
go
that
in
wrong. I
and
thought that's what it was saying.
No, we
I
good.
hope they won't come out.
All right, any more discussion?
now we're
All right,
gonna
we're gonna
also
call the
voting
vote.
for them to
All
have the
in
garbage
favor?
container, right?
Correct. All in
Yes, that's
favor?
in there.
Okay.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I didn't say aye, sorry, I
I'm
meant
sorry.
to. No, I meant to.
Okay.
I was zoning out.
Did everybody say aye?
Yes.
Yes.
No opposed. Moving on to 7H, consideration, discussion, and approval of contractor permit place card requirements. Can I have a motion
I motion.
and a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None.
So the placard is new,
It is.
and it's for the yards, so,
It's basically the way we discussed this, meaning me, and Sabrina, and Drew, is basically when, let's say roofing company comes down, pulls a permit, we're going to hand them a yard sign with the permit number on it and put it in the citizens.
So,
That way there'll be no question about he didn't pull the permit, or the yard sign is in the wrong spot, or anything along those lines.
they're not
so
gonna be-
legally, my question is, my question is, I don't know if it's apples to apples, orange to orange. A yard sign is different from a placard. I mean, and I'm just asking, because from what I've noticed and dealt with permitting, they
Placard
put
goes on the
a,
wall.
yes, they put that sticker on, I've never seen where it was,
They're in the
Right, because I mean,
windows.
I still have.
It
my
just has to be
placard.
visible.
okay, all right.
We'll give them a
have-
placard, if they wanna take their sign, put the permit number on the back of it, as long as it's visible, that's possible. It's just, the permit number has to be visible, they're not gonna do the full permit. Permit number has to be visible.
Yes, okay.
visible from the road
But our,
or the driveway.
Yeah, cause you don't, well.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like.
that's what I was
like,
gonna say.
Now we're cutting, do we really want people going on to the
No.
private property? So
No.
ideally, yes, but visible from the road.
So we're not gonna put them in the window anymore?
If they're in the window and you
You
can
can
see
still
that
see
there's
it
a
because of the
thing in
color.
there, then it's.
But Jeff, the reason I was doing this is to get, trying to cut down on the drama when it comes to whether or not somebody pulled a permit. That's the only thing.
This
And I
must
think this
be,
would be a good solution,
So-
because when they come down and they get a permit from Sabrina, she hands them a sign, she writes down the permit number, and it's in the yard.
And this sign is made out of what, phenolic material or?
Yeah, there's a
this is my
deposit for
question.
it. too.
y'all gonna have to make them sign.
Yeah, it's like, where,
Kurski's will.
what's these signs gonna look like? Who's got that example of the sign?
We're gonna have Jeff draw it up.
Okay, I do not like advertising that my house is under,
But this is not really advertising, it's just.
well, I know, but it shows that work's being done in my house, and if I have to be out of the house for a period of time, I don't want people knowing my house might be vacant. It's a safety thing for
So-
me. I don't want to display work's being done in my house.
And that's understandable. However, as a city, we're running a business, and from what I've experienced and what my knowledge as far as the permitting, that's universal.
No.
It's universal.
Not anywhere in
You're-
Arizona are you required to put a permit that you've received in your yard at all.
Everywhere in Jefferson County.
Yes.
Permit's visible.
Yes.
Like the gas lines.
Yeah, so, but with that, and I understand, I understand. But when you say as far as, safety and all that and your house being,
Right.
you have cameras for that, correct?
Well, yeah.
All right, Okay.
Well, the alternative would be.
You wouldn't have them, bud, if it didn't do
They
anything.
catch after the fact.
So it's either have it
discourages.
publicly available or allow a discrete place which would allow people who want to see whether you have a permit to go to a place. So requiring a public,
Publicly displaying the permit, because also too, if any of us here drive past the house and see work being done, that's potential loss of income for the city.
And we get a bonus for it, right?
Yeah, I'll give you a bonus,
Yeah.
twice of my pay.
you bust on permit.
But it's looking at the potential loss of income, if we're allowing contractors to not pay the permit.
Why
So
would
what
you
makes
just
you
stick
think getting a
them in the window?
placard is gonna make them
Because
stop
if
and
I
get a
see
permit?
somebody up on a roof working and I don't see a placard in the yard, I have the authority, and so does city council, to do a non-stop work order.
If my husband's up on the roof,
He's not a contractor.
Different deal.
Different deal.
listen, okay, my dad's coming to town this week. If my dad's on the roof and you freaking issue me something because there's no placard out there, we're gonna have a serious problem. Serious.
But I
Like, not that
mean,
my dad would get on the roof, but
Right,
mind your
I
own
mean-
business. You know, like.
One guy up on a roof is not gonna be a problem.
But a crew up on.
Five guys.
Yeah, I
tearing
get
the
it.
roof off with
Right.
No permit, that's a problem.
That's the problem.
Well, okay, the point is, it could be inside where you're not even aware of something going
Okay,
on.
well, that's fine. I
And
mean-
so what I'm trying to get at is no placard requirement is gonna make someone go do what they were already stealing. So,
How many times on the weekend have you driven through the city
Yeah, it's not
and seen
perfect. It's
all
not
Yeah.
types,
perfect
it's not perfect, but it helps, because if you drive through the city on the weekend, there's all types of contractors out
Exactly.
there working.
because the
Without
office
fully
isn't open.
permitted.
But, you know,
And our
I've
job
read
is
by
to
before and looked
protect
in the
the
windows
city
to
and
see if there's a
citizens.
permit.
What's that?
I've driven by these houses that construction either in place or going on and looked
Mm-hmm,
to see if there's a permit in the window.
right.
I mean, that's where I put mine, that's where I was told to put mine
Mine's still there.
7 years
That's
ago.
where we did.
I put mine.
And, I mean, I don't know why you gotta put it in the yard.
Well, so Heather will make a sign of,
Heather's
it'll
gonna be
be
the sign police.
waterproof.
No, I'm not.
So,
Don't
so
tell
is
your
this for
boss
the
what to do.
nosy Nancy's in the neighborhood or for the office to go around and make sure everyone's got
It's
permits?
for Charlie, the office staff, to drive through the city.
You know,
Well, anybody, any of us can do it.
we make shit too.
I know.
Yeah, yeah,
Somebody puts it on the album by the road and the kid goes by and takes it, you know, if it's in the window, they can't take it,
Well,
right?
him and I don't align on everything.
If it's sticking on a stick out in front yard, a dog runs by and grabs it.
I thought part of this was pertaining to a contractor.
I don't
putting this
care, I just won't be
coastal
hanging
roofing
it out in
sign
my
out
yard.
there in front of the yard and what's his face
You
taking
have
it down.
the right to your own contract.
Right.
That if they had a sign out there
So
like
it's basically
Joe
not
Blow
against
Roofing, they've got to
the
have the
homeowners,
permit
it's
on
about
that
the
sign.
contractor.
It's about the contractors,
Because the
absolutely.
I know, but if I have to hire a contractor to remodel my house and I'm leaving for 2 weeks.
You are the contractor, they are the subcontractor. You don't have to pull permits.
No, if he hires, not if she hires a
Not if I hire a contractor.
You hire somebody in, you
Yeah.
can't skirt that.
I mean,
Yeah.
counterpoint is, you're gonna have 10 guys going in and out, ripping your drywall off. Whoever the sophisticated burglar is that's looking to see if you're gone, is gonna see that.
They stole my weed eaters the first week I moved in.
Yeah, I had an air pressure. I had a pressure washer stolen.
Should have had a permit.
I'm just saying,
Right?
there's no. it's
I
not-
don't have storage. I have everything under my house. I have to be there
I hear-
24/7.
I hear what you're saying, it's not a perfect solution, but
Right.
boy, it addresses a big problem.
I
Are y'all writing
understand.
all this down?
I understand.
Y'all writing all
I
this?
did.
tried my
Sabrina's
best.
doing her best. All
We're-
right, any more
so
discussion?
That's why things have to be recorded, because it has to go.
We get
and then
carried
everybody
away.
notes have to be taken, because it's impossible to do for y'all.
Any more discussion?
Call the vote.
Call to vote, okay, here we go. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Yes,
One opposed.
nay.
All right, the ayes have it. Next item, consideration, discussion, approval for authorizing the mayor and any other council person to negotiate and enter into a contract or agreement. I'm not reading all this stuff.
subject to the final approval by the city council to upgrade the city's
City's website
website
in
in order
order
to
to-
provide additional functionality to citizens. The agreement will be for a limited term and not exceed the charges stated in the attached materials.
Kind of a
Okay.
motion.
I
I'll make that
motion.
motion,
I'll second.
Second, okay.
and I will bring it to council because this has been my
Now we'll turn this over to Jeff.
assignment for an excruciating long time. So we have two major players in the government website construction. And I honestly, after reading the two, I do have a favorite. I don't know, is there stuff in there? Did you have send anything that Richard sent to you in the packet? Okay. So this is a long, detailed, drawn-out proposal. There are many, many, many moving parts. If I even tried to start explaining everything to this council tonight, we would miss breakfast in the morning. It's just not, it's not council-friendly.
Here's what I would like to know. Initial installation setup costs, monthly maintenance costs
Okay.
for each one of them.
That's another thing that we've got to boil down to.
Well, I
Jim.
couldn't find, make it make sense in here.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, because they've included some of the things that a lot of the other cities use that we may not use. And they haven't included some things that we may be interested in. So what we'd like to do is look at the numbers that are here now. It is about $5,000 a year on Civic Plus, and that's
Page 18, I think it is, Jeff, 18 and 19.
okay. Well, that's probably not the most up to date because that has expired. This is what we pulled out last year sometime. So I'm asking for some leniency here. I do not want to spend this money. I honestly do not. However, there are some things that has rattled my cage for a while, and that would be the ADA fines. Looking at what the potential is, it could cost us more than the actual new website. Something that I also want to kind of stress is we don't need premium. What we have now is a Yugo. So we could go with the standard, which is basically a bunch of boxes that we can populate ourselves. They would build it for us. They would give us almost unlimited training. But one of the things that I really, really are keen on is, I'm going to ask Sabrina a question. In your preparation for these wonderful city council meetings, these big old binders that you have, and then going through this and the menagerie of audio and video, how many hours a month would you say you spend on doing the fantastic job that you have? Just on the meeting and agenda.
Depends on the meeting.
Altogether, it probably takes me an entire workday if I spend.
Okay.
And what about, Heather spends time on them too, right?
Putting them in these.
The binders, yeah.
So,
Heather and I both put them.
so the number that I just heard is 10 hours. And that's for the agenda and the meeting minutes, putting them like she's stressing with right now. There is an add-on for this Civic Plus called Agenda and Meetings. It's $2,300 a year. Now, when you extrapolate that out, that's 6.8 hours a month at her salary. So we would make up for that one expenditure year after year after year.
This website's gonna put this stuff in this
Well, yeah,
folder.
because minutes is 3 hours today
So
alone.
if
Yeah.
the meeting,
So-
if the meeting is 3 hours long, it
Right.
takes me about 6 to 7 hours. to
Right.
do the meeting.
Right.
So there's things like that we need to look at. No, it's not gonna put it in the book form. However, there are things that are automated for these agendas and meetings that would take a huge load. And she's never even seen, I don't know, you probably haven't seen the demo of it. It's absolutely amazing. We can do all of our voting, and it's just a complete setup. I want to have the opportunity.
Well, still, you hadn't answered my question.
Okay.
I understand that there's a definite benefit
Mhm.
of upgrading that website to get more modern, and I'm for that.
Mhm.
What I'm not 100% convinced of is, what is it worth? I mean, what's it gonna cost us? You know, any decision, there's a payoff and there's a cost and there's
Sure.
a probability of success and
So
there's,
this one shows $4,600 a year.
well, that's not Civic Plus, that's
That's the Civic Plus standard annual subscription fee.
46, and what does it cost for all the setup?
Lane, I think it is.
The setup shows $850 one-time standard implementation.
Whoa, $850?
That's what it's showing right here.
Design
We
the
don't have
website
that
and put
page.
it in
I
place?
said it when I started my talk.
Oh, I didn't
and
hear
probably
you.
don't have the most up-to-date because
Oh,
this has
okay.
been expired now for a while.
Gotcha.
4,758.
Wait a minute. For them to come in here and set the website up, and it's ready to go, and all we have to do is start using it, it's $850?
That's the standard fee. There's a lot
Add-ons.
more on it. There's a lot more add-ons to
Add-ons.
it, which I'm tired of trying to pick it all and trying to get all this.
I know, but I mean, I'm, without even,
Basically-
what's the other one cost?
Jeff needs a budget.
The revised, condensed form that's 21 pages long. Grand total for the first year is 14,800, but that included your first year of hosting it.
All right, well, how much, what's hosting mean?
The
Maintenance.
annual recurring
Okay, how much is that?
is part of that. Let's see.
Are we already paying?
GoDaddy.
Oh, GoDaddy, it's. So, 10.6 is the mobile design. 10.6 on this revised,
10.6, and so the annual would be.
plus the
4,000.
4,800 or so, yeah.
And so the annual on both of them is about the same. And the setup at one is $10,000, the other is $850.
I don't trust that.
I don't either.
I don't trust that at all. So we just, give us some kind of a guideline. Because
All right, Jeff, look, I mean,
we go round and round with these people.
which one of these, you said you already had a favorite, which
I
one?
already have, Civic Plus,
The $850 setup, okay.
and I'm
If
sure.
we went on there and added everything we wanted on there, what would that setup be?
So,
It's not in there.
But to do the minutes, that part of that Civic Plus pay, is that what?
no, that's another $2,400. So that we're up to about $7,000 a year. The number one would pay for itself, the meeting and agenda.
How does that work? Is voice transcription with AI?
AI, yeah.
Yeah, and it goes,
Not-
we'll save it
not
into
so
a
much.
PDF.
Not so much. There's actual software that
Natural
she would
speak
prepare.
using
She would
Dragon.
prepare templates where you go in and burn it off, click, 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 click. This is what's going to be on it, and it shows over here. It appears on the agenda. Print it, give it to them. Laptop, tablet, whatever. Whenever it comes up to a vote, it's either on their screen, on their tablet, in their packet. She can have a copy of it as the votes are as the discussion comes up. You click that off, it gives time dates, it'll tell you who all's in the meeting. And there's just a lot to it that would streamline and standardize the process. And within by the time you hit submit, you've got your finalized minutes, and then we'll post it to the website.
But it's more the
Hey,
minutes,
Jeff,
like,
where's this company out of?
This one's out of Kansas, I believe. The revise maybe
What's the length of the contract? Is there any
year to year.
Year to year.
Agenda and meeting
And I-
management.
I saw that they service,
2,300.
I saw they service a lot of, Port H is the closest one to us, correct?
They do, I think this is the one with Fort Natchez,
Um,
and it's very impressive. And it's gonna take 18 weeks to put this together.
Me personally, something like this, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it, pending what the budget is. But something like this, I would like that vendor to come in and present to me. I want that vendor to sell to me, their product. Something like this.
They will do that.
Yes, so can, would it be okay to table this and try to set that up some type of way?
maybe even, can they do like an
Yes,
video
yes,
call?
yes, that's what I'm saying. I
Or like
mean,
a sharing. team,
Yes.
yeah.
And we've been on 3 so far. And it's
I
all,
asked to be invited and I didn't get it. What's going on?
Oh, he's gonna grab the board.
Oh, Lord.
He's gonna be here for a while.
I do have-
www.jim.
Do they have storage capabilities? I wonder if that would. Like,
And that's
would
just
that
my
get
idea.
incrementally higher?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm sure it is.
That's just my idea, I just
I'm sure
want,
you
you
pay
know,
for that.
I just want to throw it out there. I would like, I mean, my thing is, you know, with something like this,
Here's the
woo,
executive.
you know, woo me, you know what I mean? And present it out, hey, this is what we have to offer, and this is, you know, what y'all have compared to what we're offering.
Fort Natchez has it.
On the bar over there, Jim.
Yeah, they service,
Looks like- I'm looking
What's
at
their
your
yearly
markers
budget
over there.
going?
I don't know, I don't know.
Well,
And what's their population? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about all that as well. The cities that they service in the state of Texas is probably twice as big as ours, or 3 times, you know, or more.
Yeah. Way more.
I mean, you can't even hire a college intern to type minutes up for a year for $2,400,
No.
you know? so-
You can't. No, this is money, I think, money well spent.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like what's the basis things that we would want to see out of it? I'm sure there's other, like, calendar, call-outs, emergency detail.
Yeah, that's all actually
Right.
listed in there.
You can opt in for text messages, for announcements, and,
The basic inclusions is the agenda center, which is where the agendas will be posted, a calendar, the alert center, a document center, and all of this means nothing unless you've seen it. Notify me, a form center, which would be, you could probably go in and do your own, fill out your own and pay for your own permitting. Graphic links, quick links, flash, staff directory. There's a lot to consider, but I don't want to just load this thing down. We don't need a Rolls Royce.
right, I was thinking,
I
like,
agree.
how
I
many
agree.
users are we gonna get on there?
Oh, we've never,
Our office, obviously, but.
we've never knocked that out.
So where are we with this?
I think,
Whiteboard.
Jeff, are you just asking for a budget at this time?
Let me,
Yeah.
Jeff, look,
Yeah.
for me, this is just me,
Give us
and
some-
everybody else can ignore this. For me to make a decision that's starting to get at this magnitude, where I'm comparing stuff, there's some things I gotta know. And to evaluate those, I wanna know what the payoff is. What
So
is
we
the
don't get
benefit,
too-
both quantitative and qualitative?
That's the big deal.
Okay, and they probably should be somewhat the same for each one, but maybe they're a little different based on the little bells and whistles and boxes and stuff. The other thing is, I want to know what it costs to do this. What's it gonna cost me to do this? And then what is the probability of it being successful in giving me this payoff at this cost? And the other is, what is the ability, what kind of ability would I have to reverse that decision if it were wrong? In other words, probably, in this one, you're not gonna be able to. But that's something I'm gonna think about. In other words, I will go something that's got a lower probability of success. If I'm wrong, I can
Just put
fix
the
it
old
pretty
website
easily.
back up.
But these are the two, kind of the primary.
So on the cost portion of it, the cost is going to be relative to what Sabrina and Heather, the people in the office, and I guess me at this point, because I'm helping with the IT, what we determine is the absolute bare necessity. That's the cost. The flip side of the cost is if there's ever if we don't have a plan to make this ADA successful, then those fines may
Exceed.
exceed the cost. And because it takes 28 weeks to put this together on a custom, and maybe only about 18 to maybe 16 to 18 weeks on the template, which is what I'd like to go for, it's the cheaper one. I'm just thinking, if we're gonna get it together by January, even to have something even present to you by January, we're gonna have to start on it soon. But the going back and forth and all the confusion with trying to explain this whenever we really don't even know what all we do or do not need. And we've put countless hours into it already. It's just, it's a little frustrating. And I hear what you're saying, and I agree. I don't want to just write a check, that's not gonna happen. But the
Well, I
probability
mean,
of
what
success is
you're
great.
saying is the valuation that you go through to look at those kind of things. I mean, you could change those wordings to mean something different, like risk maybe. You know, the risk of of totally not putting any ADA stuff in there.
Well, just the,
But what at this point, what you're doing is you gotta try to get it to the point where you can compare as much apples to apples. We're not trying to decide what the system will deliver necessarily. If we need to, then we need to decide that up front. So then you know exactly what you want, what you have to have, what you need, and then you could fill that in and you could say, system 1, system 2 is what I have to have. Now tell me what it's gonna cost and how you can give it to me.
As far as a payoff, I don't see it ever being a pay.
No, I mean, you just gave me an example. You're gonna save,
I don't know about
10
that because
hours
it-
times,
Some
her
of
wage
the
a month times 12
modules-
months. There's a dollar figure right there.
Some of the modules that we could put on it could justify itself.
Well, I mean,
But the overall, we've never had to pay this much for a website. That's why I'm a little skittish getting into it.
then, those benefits don't necessarily have to be quantified. It's best if you can quantify them. And even something subjective, if you can work toward, quantifying it some way, it's easier to make that decision. But then you've got to make the call on, maybe her hoeing ain't that damn bad, kind of like the old farmer that the consultant, young Aggie grad said, he was going to teach him some ways to farm better. And he said, son, I ain't farming as good as I know how now. And we're not, we may not be farming as good as we know how with the website we got. We may not even need a website. I don't know. I mean, I'm for it, don't get me wrong, but it's not like me deciding which company to put an overhead door in. It's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah.
So your decision making needs to have some structure and detail to it.
Looking at the representative citing that they provided for us, has helped me determine that we don't need a custom, that the template, which is the cheaper version, is better. We would be on a year-to-year basis, so it's not like we're signing a long-term contract.
but they also know you can get pigeonholed into those, once you go kind of with one website, look at how long we've been stuck on GoDaddy, right?
It's because nobody's pursued it.
Well, I
Nobody's
mean,
presented
you just
to
have like,
the-
if they have things tied up as far as storage, like they're docu-storing or, I don't know how easily it's transferable, but
Well, they won't have anything that we do not already provide to them. So we're not losing any of our assets or
no,
resources.
I understand, but like, going to a different website, the setup, they know you're not gonna go pay those additional setup costs with another company just because you don't wanna do an annual contract,
But also too, once you basically sign up with a company and the code belongs to you,
Mhm.
taking the code and right-click, copy and paste is not the code. But none of us wanted to take the time and actually build a website either. I don't have time. Jeff doesn't have time. And I'm not doing it.
So what's the base amount on the template?
The template design, here's our Web Central Starter Summary. And this is the starter. One-time standard implementation, $850 with their annual subscription fee of another $4,600. And then you add on to that some of the, like, there's live training per module is $375 one time. Meetings and agenda to migrate up to 100 of our already documented meeting and agenda, $850. And that's up to 100 of our PDFs and the meetings. Facilities, we don't need all that. Resources, activities.
What was the 2,400 thing you said?
2,400 is the agenda and meeting management.
Oh, the taking of the minutes. So the document thing is different. You said the 800.
Yeah, this is migrating what we already have
Okay.
over into
Okay.
the meetings and agendas that would be on the new website. So one-time implementation for the agenda and meeting, is $1,825 plus the $2,300 a year. So,
I mean, that pays for itself, wow.
yeah,
I mean, it pays for it twice, actually, it's 2 years worth of her minutes, and, yeah, pre-meeting work and.
there is as far as the layout goes, they would combine that from the 1,825 and the 2,300, I think, to just a 2,850 for the first year. That's implementation and the first year when you put those together because there's a discount. Now, it's offering a 20% discount if we also have codification. And the codification is where they take all of our ordinances and put a digital footprint or fingerprint on every single one of those. That way it makes them all searchable. That's something we can add down the road. We don't have to start with that. It's expensive to do that.
I can type it
And
up.
we can't even use some of the ones that we have now because they're a 14th
Outdated.
generation copy
Right,
of a manuscript. So we'd have to clean that up considerably before we'd even want to spend that kind of money, which is kind of expensive. So, Jim, to your point, we're probably looking at about the same, about 10 grand for the first year on either way we go. But the running of that every single year afterwards is going to be between 45 and maybe about 6,000 a year for those websites. So that's where we need to probably put our focus is on those numbers. And then we can tailor the modules that we kind of know we want with what we are allowed to spend on that.
was this already planned in the budget for this year?
No.
No, he's brought it to council a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah, we started it last year,
yes.
and we've done a lot of digging into this, and it's like, it won't get anywhere if we don't
Make a decision.
Yeah, so I think we need to put a dollar amount,
Well, but also, I mean, this line item is actually just giving authorization to myself and an additional council person to get this started. We're not looking to spend money at this point. We're just looking to get approval to get it started.
Well, the original request that I put in was to get it authorized. Let's discuss it and let's authorize a dollar amount so we
Okay.
can move, because we've discussed this thing.
Yes, yes,
for-
we have.
But
we
it
should-
says
should
subject to
acknowledge
That's
final
not what I put
approval.
out.
Oh.
That's not what I put in.
Okay.
That was my bad.
That's okay.
Last.
I was just looking at
Sorry.
what
Yeah.
it was tight.
So if we can do 10
15?
or 12,000, 15 on the max for the first year, which includes the original build, that would have to include, and we can negotiate with these people.
But once we have a dollar amount, then we can negotiate.
Yeah.
Because right now, we don't know what to
Yeah,
negotiate.
and then the recurring fees would be anywhere from 48 to maybe 6,000.
Do we have any expenses that would go away because of the new system?
Potentially. I'm not sure
Potentially.
what we spend on the online fees, whatever we, I guess we want to pass that on to whoever pays. But it could generate some revenue with the rental of the building, all that could be, because they would provide us with a way to pay online, which currently we go through a third party. And there may be a way for us to streamline that. So your permit fees, rental of the building,
Excuse me.
water
Well,
bill.
those are, on making a hard proposal, those are the kind of things that you kind of try to come up with numbers, even though they may be 50-50. And there's also tangible benefits that don't have monetary value. You were hinting around on some of those, the fact that people can come and request their own permitting.
Ease of
They
use.
can do the sign up for, whatever you can sign up for. I hadn't looked at these other cities to see what they can do. I'm sitting here looking at the February cost for the office for the city. And I would assume that some of that cost would have to be split to Public Works too.
Well, just like, so I hear what you're asking for. So with the citizens paying the water bill, that's totally different from our website that we're paying. What he's actually offering and what he's actually proposing with this here, it combines all that is into this one thing. So to appease to what you're asking, that's one benefit. By us, that can totally delete a cost
Potentially.
potentially.
Yeah, we don't know that for sure. It's potential.
But I mean, it's worth of putting, it's a probability of success, you know.
I've got my work to do.
I mean, if you come back and say you're gonna eliminate that, I'm gonna argue with you, but if you're gonna come back and say, I have a 20% chance of reducing, then I'm gonna put that in my mind. I said, okay, if that cost of us doing that is 100,000, then we're gonna probably 20%. I'm gonna think about that in that kind of term. So, meaning that, you know, if I keep rolling the dice 6 times out of 36, I'm gonna roll 7. Or whatever that number is. Maybe it's 6. 7.
All right, so where are we with this?
6.
Pick a budget.
Are we picking a budget or
Yeah.
are we paying, what are we doing?
Stephanie has something. to
Why,
say.
yeah, sorry, does the, this might be for Drew, because when I brought up the ADA issues with the building, it was considered a low exposure, but why is the website so much higher? Because like China and Nome, they don't have fancy websites. Okay.
If you do any reading on it, though,
No, I
maybe
understand.
it's their way of trying to nudge you off of dead center.
Mhm.
You know, maybe much to do about nothing. I don't
Right.
know. I know we've got exposure, and this is the way to do it. Do away with
And
that.
plus it makes us look better in the city too. I mean, I don't wanna go to China's website. I mean, I can't find anything and it's a mess.
Yeah, ours is a mess, I agree.
But I mean, China's
But
worse.
I don't, I
But
just
there's
feel
only
like
one
we're,
girl in the office too.
It's a
So you
big
think
ticket.
we're going overboard
I
with?
think it's a big ticket when we can't even give our residents leeway on permit fees. People object to it. I just think that's weird. So I'm probably gonna say no for now. It's a big ticket item, and we're like a very small city.
Has Jeremy been consulted on this?
I talked to Jeremy when Barbara was mayor and he said he will not build a website.
Well, I understand that. Does he have an opinion on these
I haven't reached out,
platforms?
I haven't reached out to him about it.
Unless there's room in the budget, unless we can find some space to cut back somewhere, I just don't see how we should throw it in this year or maybe make it a plan for next year. I
We
don't know.
won't even review the budget until probably September.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna just put this up. I'm not gonna spend another minute on it.
You wanna take with this?
Yep. Until we can get a budget to where we can all agree that we need to spend the money.
Well, that was just my opinion. Nobody
Yeah,
else,
yeah,
nobody
I
else
mean,
said anything.
I have the same kind of opinion. I don't understand. We don't even really have a dollar amount. We don't
Oh, yeah,
don't know.
yeah, there's dollars.
There's a
there.
lot of
Asking
things that
to
we don't
table
know
it
what we
because he's-
need. We don't know what the return is. We
But
don't
he's
know.
put a
but
lot of
it-
time into it, and that's why he's basically, throwing
It's
his hands up.
frustrating.
But it's a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
money.
it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
It's a lot of money, and when we did our budget, if y'all remember, we were right there on the borderline of that budget, and now we're gonna throw another 10,000 into that budget. That's gonna have to come from somewhere.
But also too, by us approving these 2 new ordinances that are bringing revenue, hopefully we can actually justify some of the costs that we're gonna try to spend. too.
It doesn't start till December though.
Right, it does.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, when we do our budget in September, we're also gonna look at.
Yeah.
Okay. I
That'd be
call the vote that it's squashed.
So you wanna do I and J, or just?
No, I wanna talk about Jay.
Okay, so we're gonna table I for now, per Jeff's request. All right, so we're gonna move on to J, consideration, discussion.
These don't look like, these are policy decisions.
Well, then you wanna skip J and go to K, so I can ask for reconsideration on the vote of the permits, just in case I need your legal advice?
Sure.
don't mind, Jeff?
Yep, fine, that's fine.
So let's go ahead and skip to K's, so Drew can go. Consideration, discussion, and approval for revision of agenda item 8D from the previous agenda. Temporary suspending permit fees for owner-occupied homes. I have a motion.
I motion that.
Jeff, one. Lonnie, second. Any discussion?
Yes. So there was an attachment with the permits collected so far. How many of the contractors were for owner occupied? The permits pulled for fiscal year. Do you know how many of the contractors
All
pulled?
of them also,
What's that?
all of them also owner
Owner occupied?
homes. But I wrote down which ones the contractors for and which one the owners.
I calculate
Wait, so
$1,900.
owner investor, so hold on, let's talk about terms here. An investor is someone that does not occupy the home, they don't live there.
They're the ones who pulled the permit.
Right, so when a contractor comes in, how do you know, I mean, you go look at the property, see if they're,
Yeah.
no, I know, but so you do that background check or whatever, so all of these were for owner occupied, all the contractor ones.
The highlighted ones, where it says owner.
Every single
No.
permit that was pulled.
The owner investor means an investor is not living there. It's not an owner occupied home. So those, the highlighted ones, right?
An investor, the owner is an investor.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I got that correct. And then contractors are going to an owner occupied home for these permits, all of them. Okay. That's $3,378 for the first. Wait, what time frame is this?
For a
What
whole
year?
year,
It's the
24
start
to
of the fiscal
25.
year, so from October.
October, that's right, okay. You had to remind me. I do a different fiscal calendar for work, so I get confused.
So,
I
February.
counted, I got $2,650 for owners.
Right, and then it's $1,728 for the contractors, so a total of $3,378 for basically 5 months, right?
For the contractor, you don't know whether the contractor
No,
was.
she just said they're all owner occupied.
Every permit that's pulled is owner occupied, yes.
Oh, so the owner investor are the only ones that were done on vacant houses?
Or investors, yeah. They don't
Yeah,
live there.
An investor bought that.
Oh.
and pulled the permit.
So none of these are rentals?
So it's about $4,000 that we'd be losing.
Yeah.
4,200.
Well, no, it would
4,300.
actually be 8,000, like I said in the meeting minutes. That's what the budget was for, $8,000. It says right in the meeting minutes,
And by adopting this, we're giving up,
$8,000.
$8,000.
For the rest of 2025, temporarily suspending permit fees so that we can incentivize our residents and give back to the community instead of spending all their money.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I'm asking for reconsideration, because in the position that I'm in, I have to figure out how am I gonna make up for the loss of revenue? Because most of the time, when you're looking at beautifying an owner-occupied home, we don't need to pull a permit.
Sure.
If I need to pull up, put up a fence, I don't need to pull a permit. If I need to do rose bushes, I don't need to pull a permit.
I'm
So-
not, when I say beautifying, I mean any improvements you do in your home. If you have to hire a contractor, whether you're owner occupied or not, you still have to pull a permit. But if I own my home, I live in Bevel Oaks, I'm sitting in that home, I don't have to pay the fee.
But we also didn't have the opportunity to discuss how we take care of the loss of income. Because,
How much was
When-
budgeted for 20?
$8,000,
How much was budgeted?
$8,000.
For,
It's right
for
on
the whole
budget.
year?
For the whole
That's how
year.
much our budget said.
Yep.
We're gonna make
For-
$8,000 on permits for the year.
Well, I'm sorry, it said
Well-
building permit fees, I hope that's the only section, I may not be an expert on that.
so the spreadsheet that Sabrina did is just over 6,000, so 8,000 is probably about right.
Okay, so if we suspend it, we're only gonna lose $2,000 for the
Well,
rest of this fiscal year.
wait a minute, let me ask Sabrina a
it could be
question.
4,
Well, that's what we
Right.
budgeted.
right.
Sabrina, on this, spreadsheet you made, the ones highlighted in yellow, are those meant to be the permit fees we would lose or we would still keep?
Those are the ones we would keep.
So-
And that's not enough money to pay Mike for the inspections.
I'm trying to figure out how much money of this $6,200, how much of that, if we adopted this, would we not collect?
The ones that are highlighted
We wouldn't collect
in yellow, we
that.
would collect only the
Only
ones that are
those.
highlighted.
Okay,
Those
so
are
that means we're gonna
1,900.
lose 67% of the total fees. Because that number, the yellow number adds up to 1908. So if I take that, essentially 2,000, so that leaves you 4,300 that we would lose based on this number. And that's 67% of the total permit fees. That's a lot of money.
That's why I came to the table that day with stopping spending money on events for the rest of the year, and
But that's something we discussed during our budget meeting in September. So even though your idea is good.
I don't
like
know,
your idea,
I
but it's-
understand, but I have people coming to me, talking out of both sides of their mouth, saying we need to quit spending money, and then when I come up with the ideas, they're acting like they're gonna object to it.
Welcome to council.
Welcome to- yeah, it's-
No, but
it's
I'm
tough.
serious, as a
Yeah.
resident, if I go to my neighbors and ask them, would you rather have fireworks, or would you rather not have to pay a permit fee so you can do some work on your house? I guarantee you, 1,000 times over, they will say, I don't wanna pay permit fees.
But
Yeah,
also too,
but
while
that
we're sitting
discussion
here
we
at
had
the-
last month didn't have anything to do with permits. It had to do with this building being ADA
No,
qualified.
no, that was a different one, that was a different one.
No, when we sat in here, you,
No, that was my other agenda item, Jim, I'm telling you right now.
okay.
The first one. That was, I want
Yeah,
to temporarily suspend, city-sponsored paying for events for 2025 so that we can get this building right. Because we have a great thing that Jeff put on with the food, the lunch thing, and we have a big portion of that community coming in that's elderly. So, that was a totally different one. The second one was, so if we're going to stop events, let's give back to the community with that money that we're saving by doing the building and then stopping their permit fees for this year. Like, thank you, like, you can thank your residents.
But then on the other
I
hand,
just
saying we're
remember
gonna
that whole
stop
meeting
events,
differently.
so-
I remember
Okay,
this
well, let's
year
read the
being-
minutes. They're
remember
right
this
here. I
year
just read them
being-
before the minute,
I
the
remember
meeting.
my comment in there being, let's do both. They were mutually exclusive. Now, I mean, I'm not gonna, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Girls know that. I'll admit if I'm wrong.
The first one was Councilwoman Kramer. Thibodeau has done a great job getting nutrition for seniors out here. States the event center is not ADA compliant, but the building was built in 1974, blah, 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 blah. States that the money that is allocated for events should be reallocated to removing barriers for seniors to get in, blah, blah, blah. So that was the first.
That's this building, that's exactly what it said.
Right,
It
that
had
was
nothing
the
to do with
first agenda,
permits.
but then the second one that I brought up, because you guys voted that down, the second one was, because I was trying to put them together
Oh,
for the same fiscal year.
Yeah, your original proposal had to do with eliminating
Yes.
the fireworks and making this one ADA compatible.
But I knew it wouldn't take all of the money for events to
Okay,
do
but
ADA.
that was not part of your second proposal.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what it was. I mean, what is?
They're separate things, they're
what-
separate budget lines.
I know, but,
Yeah.
but you're saying now
Yes.
that
The
I
intent
I
was
want
to
to stop
balance
the
it.
fireworks and,
Right.
and do away with
But
it.
also
I
with
don't,
the,
I don't have a dog in this fight, but this is the classic debate. A little bit of perspective. This is the classic debate, like regressive and progressive tax. The sales tax affects everyone, income tax affects just a certain few, right? Regressive and progressive. A few people will get the benefit from the lower permit. A few. Everyone, and then when you go to the community events, I'm not defending, I'm not saying this, that affects everyone. So it's totally different on who gets the benefit and who loses. Very few people on the permits are getting the benefit of the lower spending. And a lot of the entire community is paying the price.
The
for
people
those
that,
art.
the people that actually pull and pay for them.
That's right, those few that, but otherwise, no one else gets a benefit.
Well, her theory is that more
I'm
people.
just like,
I'm,
it's a
what I'm
little
trying-
apples and oranges on the community events, which have a certain inherent, whatever, I mean, you know, it is what it is. And then there's the permits, which are highly specified. I'm just sort of, it's like literally the only time in 20 years I can use my political science degree, because it is a useless degree, but it is, like, this, like, the benefits you're proposing aren't really spread to the citizens. They're only spread to
Certain ones.
the ones that are willing to spend money to improve their house.
let me ask you a question. Do we know that our budget should be $8,000 or should it be 20?
I mean, that's
That's
all
something that
policy.
we'll decide in
Yeah.
September.
Find out real quick when they're free.
But then again, if we do that, how are we gonna make up for the lost income? And that's my job.
There's so
because
many
we've got-
areas. We got a copier, $5,000 a
But
year.
we can't make any changes in this budget yet until our meeting in September. The budget has already been set. The money
Okay,
that we're losing
perfect.
pays.
Then I feel good about saying no to a couple things. Cool.
We pay our inspector, we pay our, part of the wages for the girls in the office, things like that. I mean,
We don't
And
pay,
then-
we don't pay them.
But we're going
yeah,
to
we are
have
going
to.
to,
But we
we
don't.
have to.
No,
So
he's
you're not
not.
gonna find
gonna
an
be doing it.
inspector with his credentials to even come close to what we're,
Right?
he's not.
Didn't you say he's not gonna do it? Like
Yes,
what we
he's still
want?
going to be doing it, yes.
Yeah,
He's
he's
gonna
still
be
gonna be
doing it,
doing
But
but
in a
he's gonna still
modified,
do
in
it.
a modified role.
Modified rule, okay.
But the bottom line is, talking to Mike about the inspections and, or the permits and not getting them, it can
threw
be
a
an
gasket.
issue for,
FEMA,
safety,
CRS?
FEMA, insurance, all that
Yes.
stuff. If you're not pulling permits and your
That-
house burns to the
That
ground.
was, not pulling permits was
No,
never
they're
on the
gonna pull
board.
Permit,
The-
on
the-
pull
Permits are
permit.
cool, they're just.
It was just charging
That's off
for
the
'em.
table.
Yeah, I
Not
never,
getting a
we
permit.
said it 3 times that they still have to get the permit, that if you occupy the home, you don't pay the fee.
Okay, so there's only 2 cities in the state of Texas that don't pay permit fees.
Yep.
That is Mesquite
Bel Air.
and Bel Air. And those, the contractors are forced to pay the permit fee, not the
How
residents.
big are their
Well,
cities?
I guarantee
Well,
you,
that's
Very
gonna go to
big.
the
I
resident.
guarantee you
Very
it
big.
goes
But
back
That's
there's
to
going
one-
to the
it's in-
resident.
That's what Houston on
Yeah,
16.
outside of, yeah, Bel Air.
Yeah,
is
Bel
not
Air's
big.
small.
But Mosquito, I mean,
Mesquite's big.
Why do you think they're big?
Bel Air's got it.
Because people want to live there.
Well,
The
well,
co-
not
the
just that,
cost
but
of
contract- The fees are still being paid, but they're being paid by the contractor. So when a
No, they're
contractor-
not. First of all, if a
No.
contractor comes to my house, I am paying the fee. It's on my
That's right.
invoice from the contractor. It's not,
It's gonna be
forget
built
the
into the
contractor
price.
It'll
work.
be
God,
built in,
but
you're so
it'll be
frustrating.
built
It'll
in
be built
somewhere.
into the price.
Yeah,
I pay it.
It'll be built in,
You
yeah,
gotta think
you'll
about the
bet.
city though, when you're sitting here. I mean, I understand, as a citizen, I don't wanna pay. for
I
anything.
understand, but
But it's like, if we're gonna lose $10,000 a month, are we gonna have to make up
month.
the loss?
A month?
Or a year, or
Where'd that
whatever?
come
You know, are we gonna have to make up our
$4,600.
loss of income?
But let's go
Buy
get a
with water
$14,000 website that nobody's gonna go to. No offense, Jeff, but seriously, you guys, what is our goal this year? Are we trying to fix infrastructure or have a party? Tell me, because I have no, there needs to be some direction. This is absurd. Do we want people living here? Do we want people moving here? Do we want rentals, investors? What do we want?
Part of the enticement of having the events is getting people back.
Who knows about them unless you live here? I don't go to them.
Therein lies the problem. So part of what the charge was for the events and community events was to try to get the community at least rowing the same direction. And we just had, we had brand new people in, the old guard is out, which the old guard is what used to do the community events. Nobody knew their neighbors, there's no community unity,
There still
I knew
isn't.
my name.
There still isn't. There's so much more drama than I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've lived in multiple types of cities, suburbs, country, everything. I have never seen so much drama in my life, and it's because of these events. I'm telling you right now, you have people that think, nope, sorry, that's my opinion, I can
That's
say
your
it.
opinion, you're right, that's your opinion.
And the websites or the little Facebook things.
The
But the
drama-
point is, no one knows to move here because of the fireworks show. But if I can move into a place and I can easily get a permit without paying $500 to fix my house, that's great.
And who knows about that? You and I had that discussion as well. with
Ordinances, before you move into a place,
Whenever-
you read ordinances. I don't read about a community event.
Nobody even knows that our water's high until they get their first bill.
I did.
whenever
I called the company and asked them what the average utility costs before I moved from Arizona. I
a
sure did.
$75 permit being omitted or not paid for is not a whole lot of inspiration to go spend $15,000 on a pool. I mean, that's
Not $75, but,
exactly what it was. Yeah, exactly what it was.
oh, wait, yeah.
So there's not, I just don't think there's enough to swing at when you're looking at giving up that. There's got to be other things to do in order to spur that type of remodeling or improvements to one's home.
It's the hassle. Now I gotta put, just, whatever.
You know,
Splash it. I could care less. Splash it.
I'm looking at Sabrina's numbers too, and this
Everyone's
is
just
only
spending
for
money.
6 months. This is
Yeah,
only
it's
6
only
months
6
done.
months.
Right, because we go from
not a
October
money
to,
Do what?
because
fed
our
up.
budget's September or October.
No,
to-
no, all I'm saying is,
No,
that, I
he's
mean,
saying-
theoretically, I can double that.
Yes.
And so you were
absolutely.
talking about, we
12.
budgeted $8,000, and there's 10 we're losing.
Or, you know, Mrs. Jones is on a fixed income and has to have something done and can't because she doesn't have an extra $75.
That won't work. That dog won't hurt.
I'll loan you 75.
Come to city
Yeah.
council and ask
With,
for a
with
variance.
a reasonable payback period and
Yeah.
interest rate.
Well, I don't
Balloon
know.
note, maybe.
All right, so where are we with this item?
Well, let's call for a vote. Any more discussion? Call for a
This
vote?
vote counts.
This vote counts, okay. All in favor of
And this
collecting
will be
permit
for
fees?
suspending. for the
No,
rest.
I'm calling the vote. All in favor to collect permit fees? All in favor? Say aye.
To collect them?
Continuing
To continue
to collect
collecting
permit
permit
fees.
fees.
Nay.
Aye.
Got one nay.
I'm saying nay.
right,
I mean, for
two-
the rest, suspending them.
No, we are in favor of collecting permit fees. That's the call to the vote. That's what we're doing
I
right
mean,
now.
everybody,
Just
Her
to
objection.
continue like we were doing?
Yeah.
Just continue.
Okay, I'll say nay.
Okay, so we got 2 noes and 3 yeses. Motion carries.
Did you say yes?
She said
Yeah.
no.
Uh,
You said no.
I've stayed with my original vote
Okay.
years ago.
So let's move on to J, consideration, discussion, approval for installing Starlink internet service at select locations. We're fine. See ya. Can I have a motion? Yeah. Can I have a motion?
I motion.
Second?
Oh, I'll second.
Discussion?
I don't know, what we
Uh,
just,
So
Jeff?
I presented
We on
this because I was asked to see what it would take to get internet service down at the sewer plant in order to facilitate cameras to watch over our grounds down there and our equipment down there because it's on the North 40. And so after lengthy discussion with our Sparklight people, meeting them out here, measuring out how long it's going to take to get, how many transmitters and boosters and all that, they're looking at a $7,500 bill just to get internet down there. And then we'd be strapped with the same type of service that we're getting at this building, which is the minimum. And we're still paying over $100 a month for this building, and all we have is like 50 megabytes per second. I believe our city hall is closer to $200 a month. So looking at other options, there was the cameras with the SIMS card and with the cell card, and there's an ongoing monthly fee on that, and it's still inadequate because the cameras don't store enough stuff. I mean, I've never touched the cameras. I'm just trying to facilitate this. So looking at the potential of Starlink, there is literally, it's less than $200. They're running a special in March. It's like $139, $149, something like that, to receive the equipment. And then for a very light service, unlimited data, but light service, meaning it wouldn't be enough to stream a whole lot of videos, which we don't need. All we need is a connection to these cameras. So, and it would be the same type of system that we have here. It'd have a DVR, We wouldn't have to pay every single month for the cameras. Be a one-time charge for the cameras that the system that we have at City Hall was less than $1,000. We could get meaningful service down there for less than $100 a month. And if it works out well there, I would say we would try to put this building on it as well, because we're paying a lot of money for this service that we're not getting good service out of. So I think this is a measure that would save the city a considerable amount of money. If you extrapolate that over 2 or 3 years, it just continues to save every single month. And it would get the cameras down there that you're looking for, that we would have clear connection to. And you could have it to where it would alert you if something approached the gate. Or, I mean, there's a lot of amenities that you could factor into that.
Are you planning on it as being like a backup or primary?
Primary.
Okay.
Primary.
Sabrina, do you know?
Because
Yep.
Sparklight doesn't service that down there.
Okay.
Now, we're on a contract with Sparklight. Do we know when the contract ends? I don't remember. Yeah, 'cause I mean, we are under a
I'm
contract.
switching to
We need to
Starlink.
find out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
If
pretty,
we can
really
save
pretty
money
cheap
Yeah,
at the
it
end of
is.
the contract, yeah.
to do that,
Like
and if it works
$16.
out, then, you know,
Yes,
the
600.
potential to
But you
grow
need-
that, I mean, that's kind of the new technology.
You can actually get refurbished. I don't know if that sewer plant or whatever could use a refurbished one for half the cost.
But right now, it is half the cost through March 31st.
$170, it's almost willing to pay for that.
Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah. It's
Six- 'cause they-
$149.
$600 for the equipment, right?
And not until the end of March.
Who's gonna be monitoring the alerts when you get an alert for somebody
Well, I
approaching the
mean,
gate?
we'd have to.
That's to be
determine
determined, I
that.
guess.
We'd,
Each
you know, I don't want it
department head.
being me.
Okay, so, and then, what's the bang for your buck on having the, like I kinda thought we had at the city, hall? I thought we were having a rerun for a month. If we had a rerun for a month, like, that's what I kinda thought we had at the city hall, at least 30 days.
You kind of get a trial with it going at the sewer plant.
But,
so
but when you
can-
don't need, but when you wouldn't need internet for that, if these cameras were hooked to a DVR like you said that you had?
Well, I mean, before the contract expires for Sparklight, that you could at least see, hey, yeah, we get good service, this is reliable, and before you switch everything over to it, you know, before your contract ends.
Because they're looking at, people out here already have Starlink, and they're looking at 190 megabytes per second,
Mhm.
which I'm paying for 1,000,
I am, yeah,
and I'm getting
I'm
91.
getting
Yeah, you
crud.
get that.
Download is, upload's ridiculous.
So,
To,
since we don't have
to
another.
me, that's fairly, what's the reversal? I mean, you know, is there a trial
get
period or
franchise
a
fees for
contract?
No, it's
now?
month to month.
So if we have it 6 months and we say it's not getting us, we've lost $600 plus the cost of a camera.
I'll buy it from the city.
Yeah, because I
Let me
can
know.
see, we've got these other lift stations around here too that, you know, they're out there exposed and I hadn't really had any issues with them, but,
How many issues have we had lately with the, I mean, the last year, year and a half with the water plant or the lift station? Or anything,
none with water plant or lift
or anything
stations.
that would require cameras?
It's just,
We've
it's
had a
just time
couple
to
of things
move
that
forward.
have kind of been suspicious that,
Public
Okay.
utilities, it's a good idea to have cameras.
Huh?
Public utilities and safety, it's a good idea to have cameras on it regardless of anything happening.
Especially
And
at
most
this-
likely
at
we'll
this
get a
rate.
break on our insurance costs too.
well, you know, that too,
Grant?
and the fact that people know they're gonna do, I mean, fiddling with the sewer system's felonies. I mean, that's federal
Absolutely.
offense.
Water
to-
system
I
too.
mean, the water system, sewer can be too if
That's
it
true.
creates a problem.
Probably
So,
because that's.
you know, we've actually looked into some of that, but,
Jeff, how many pieces of equipment will you need from Starlink at $149 a piece? Just one?
For the sewer plant,
Yeah.
one.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
start with
How far-
one, and then,
Just
you know,
start with
that,
one?
that.
We need that, and we need a set of cameras.
Now, was that 100 a month, is that a
I
per
got two
camera?
of them. I'm sorry.
Is that 100 per month a per camera
No, that's just for the
That's just total?
Wi-Fi.
So if I wanted to put one in all three of our lift stations, all I would have to do is buy the cost of new cameras and the monthly cost? Oh,
Yeah.
man, we gotta do that.
All right, so
Depending
That's a
on how
no-brainer.
far the service reaches, I don't think we'd be able to use that one Starlink connection to get your cameras covered. You'd need a Starlink connection and a clear sky.
Oh,
Per.
okay. It'd be like, I couldn't use one at my house and one at your house.
Right.
look at
If it's cloudy, then
Air
you don't
Mesh.
have any.
Air Mesh is actually like a, I guess you call it a heater. So
But
that'd be
even
something
still,
that
that's,
is-
It could work. It could work.
Is that something we could tie into the entrances, to the bevel of?
that's what I'm thinking, Scott.
make it into
They
an
have, they
HOA.
also have the mobile, option, like for motorhomes and stuff, my parents have one, so. It's a little more monthly, but
My son has.
I mean, the Starlink, that's one of Musk's deals. That's new technology that
With this discussion,
well
let's
on the
go ahead and
bandwagon.
say we'll do one piece of
Yeah, let's do the
equipment.
sewer.
Let's do
Yeah.
one as a test, and then if it works out well, maybe we make a decision for the.
And we'll put one on
did you also
Stephanie's.
win the Starlink expires?
So
then we'll-
let's call,
Okay.
any more discussion?
Then if that works, we'll put one on Stephanie's porch so we
So
can watch
watch
that
what
other
Charlie's doing?
thing down there.
Is that it?
All right, call for a vote, if no more discussion,
Call to vote.
call the vote. All in favor of installing one test unit at the sewer plant? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Wait, you got reports to do, Sam? No.
I really wish, I'm sorry, can we go back?
chair.
Can we reverse that? That is a good deal, it's marked more than half off. You need, to if you're planning on getting one here,
Okay, it's
can we
like,
do two?
can we do like 4 or 5 and we just buy some
Right,
for
no.
ourselves?
All right.
Can we turn the recording off?
No, let's go, Mayor, you're first.
Exactly, no. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and pass my report time off to Lonnie. Got something to report?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Stephanie, anything to report?
Other than just making it through, I think, more than 70 ordinances and cataloging them, trying to jot down the ones that need corrections, monetary. I'm trying to itemize them in like safety categories so that we can, I think safety fines need to be revisited. Anything associated with a safety ordinance. So that's what I'm working on.
Good job.
Any reports, Jeff?
Really quickly, the lunch bunch. So far, we've served 75 meals. Can't put a price tag on that. We did our initial mail out, which serviced every single home in this route, and it cost right at $700 to reach every single one. And we've got already 75 meals served in the first 3 weeks. We spend, $12,000 a year on voting, and we don't even get 300 people to vote. So a $700 investment to start this up I think is
Yeah.
really good stuff.
Yeah, I
And they
think you
got
got a
people-
core group. I came in here today. You got a core group that's here almost every day.
Yep,
so.
yep, just about every single day.
Yeah.
And so this is the way it's set up. So anyway, not to belabor any of that, the lunch bunch is doing well. I do have a brand new camera up there, and the reason why our stuff wasn't working is because our internet was down.
Oh,
Are you kidding?
That's exactly why it wasn't working.
It
Okay.
like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Once the internet came
I'm
back
serious. I think really wish we could increase that to 2.
up, man.
I mean,
But
we
once the
didn't
internet
budget.
came up, it showed up right away.
Yeah.
And I wish y'all all go and watch, because the camera is high def, and it's on us, and we can
That's my personal.
disregard whatever's out. We can actually zoom in on that screen, which we've got other things coming. We just need to install. So anyway, that's about all I needed on that.
Real quick, I attended yesterday the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Committee meeting, and the meeting had 7 issues to discuss and vote on, and the meeting lasted 14 minutes.
And you got a lunch.
And
And I
got
got, that was before the meeting started. That's all I got.
all right.
But anyway,
Bud.
I think you know, get to be involved in it, get to meet more folks and find out what's going on. It's free.
Bud's turn.
The only thing I had that was going on is what y'all already know is Lee Masters. Hopefully we get that signed. I told them that it would take the office a couple of days, so I told them to come next week and check with the office to see if we had our thing passed so that they could sign off. The paperwork is down there. I went out to DD6, picked the paperwork up, handed it to Sabrina. So the paperwork's there for them to sign for that easement. So that'll get done. The county came out and filled potholes. They did a good job. They left some pothole mix over there at the park. I went over there and got a little corner bucket of it to fill a couple of potholes, and I thought, well, I'll use all that. Man, I'm telling you, I had to go back and dump it out. I mean, it just goes a long way when you're just shoveling it out into a pothole, and and you're putting it right in the pothole. It goes a long way. But anyway, filled 4 or 5 potholes that were left over from when they filled potholes. But we still have some mix, so that's paid for. They left it here, so we gained a little bit there. Haven't heard anything at all about when the road project will be. I'm not expecting to hear anything until after probably around August or something for them to come out and do that road work that they told us that they were going to do. We approved the funds for it at the meeting, so not going to do any good to ask them about that right now because they're more concentrating on hurricane season and all that. But we're in line. So that's all.
I move the meeting.
I do have one question for you. The houses that are around the corner from me, on Shipley, that started with all the demo and the yard clearing, is there something ongoing on those? Could we be expecting more work, or is that?
They're going to.
Kevin Keith or whatever his name is, hasn't finished the job yet.
He's not finished the job. So,
When Jonathan finished, I talked to him, he said it's still too wet.
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
it's
okay.
drying up.
Okay.
It's getting drier. It's the backyard on the one house is just super wet. The other one is, but he's required now since he did that to maintain that property.
Jim, did you
So it's
do a
gonna
motion to
behoove
adjourn?
him
I
to
did.
get in there
Can I have a second?
and to work on it.
good job.
You know?
The second thing is the damage that was done to the park. They came in on
Sunday?
Tuesday, actually. Tuesday, they came in and spread quite a bit on some. They're supposed to come back by the end of this week and finish the rest of it.
Where'd
So
they
I-
put the sand?
They had it on a trailer.
Oh.
Yeah, he had it on the trailer and he brought his skid steer out. He was doing a bucket at a time. So I did call the detective. I said, looks like it's all being taken care of, so,
Nice.
yep.
Is someone gonna make, whoever burnt their Polaris and spray the grass green or something?
Yeah, that was a big fire.
I know, right? I smelled it when I was working on my banisters, and I
Is
was like,
Hey, the road's damaged, or what do we do about that?
We send him a bill.
Huh?
where'd
You
your?
talking about Casey's?
Okay.
Casey's, yeah.
If anybody
Fire.
Oh, and he built it. Yeah, so I came down all these,
They call me to come
Christmas.
bring my tractor.
huh?
They called my tractor, called me to come put it on the trailer, and I was in Las Vegas. I couldn't-
No, he was down on London when I came by.
Did you try to pick it up or something? Were you trying to put it on the trailer? They said somebody was a little tractor.
It'll turn itself off.
They said it
It's
would
USB
lift
power.
it.